Now notice Holy Spirit is not asking us to judge ourselves for having thoughts in our mind other than the thought of God, right? The last several messages have all been about staying with the focus, remembering purpose, staying with the single thought of God, staying with the stillness, keeping our mind centered. Well, if any of you guys have tried this, you know you might be able to do that for a little bit, but then the mind takes off and it's thinking about tomorrow or yesterday, or it's making stuff up, right? Well, Spirit isn't asking us to judge ourselves for that. But He's asking us not to slip into believing what the mind is saying. And the funny thing is, I've discovered that I am believing what the mind is saying when I'm not paying attention. Which I don't know why I think that's funny, but I do. I guess a part of my mind says, in order to believe it, I must be paying attention to it. But actually, it's when I'm not paying attention. And maybe that's because my attention is actually divine, right? If I'm putting my attention on it, I really do know better. When I look at the thought that, my neighbor is a jerk, I see that thought in a way that I don't believe it. But when I'm not looking at the thought, my neighbor is a jerk, and it's just running through my mind, I start feeling the emotions and the grievance of what my neighbor did. So it's kind of through not paying attention that I'm giving attention to those thoughts, that I'm giving belief to those thoughts. It's a little weird, isn't it? But that's how it works. So what I need to do is I need to keep my attention, capital M, capital A, awake. Looking at the thoughts, watching them as they go by, so that I don't believe them. So I see the thought fly by that says my neighbor is a jerk, and I have a practice of answering thoughts with thoughts, so if my mind says my neighbor's a jerk, I might giggle. I mean, that's kind of a thought. I might giggle at that thought. Or I might say, if I feel a little more belief in the thought because of something that just happened, I might say, I don't want to believe that. If I have a hard time with the thought, if it's something that I have a lot of belief in, I might say, Holy Spirit, I give my willingness to see differently. Right? But when I'm doing those things, I'm not giving full and total, unwatched belief to the thoughts. I'm practicing like Holy Spirit asks us to practice. So this is what He's asking us to do in this message. He's asking us to stay watchful, to remain alert. Because the truth is, our awareness is divine. And if we're watching with that divine awareness, we know not to give our full belief to a thought. We know to giggle, or we know to remind ourselves that we don't want to believe that or accept that, or we know to ask for help in seeing differently. But if we're not paying attention, if we're not staying watchful, if we're not remaining alert, these thoughts are going through our mind, we are believing them, and we're feeling the emotional reaction. We're getting pissed off, we're feeling stressed, we're getting fearful. And if we want to, we can use that to wake us up. As soon as I notice myself getting pissed off, I can react to that by deciding to become watchful. Because I had forgotten, or I wouldn't have become pissed off. So as soon as I notice I am, I can decide to become watchful in that moment and start letting thoughts go then. As soon as I notice I'm fearful, I can remember to become watchful. The emotional reaction of not being watchful can be like an alarm clock that reminds me, oops, I wasn't being watchful. Now I want to do that again, right? I want to start being watchful right now. Again, without judging myself, without fearing I've done something bad. But the fact that I'm feeling stressed means I wasn't paying attention to my thoughts. I was listening to some stressed thoughts that told me I had to hurry. I didn't have enough time to get everything done. People weren't going to like me if I didn't get this done. I accidentally listened. That's why I'm feeling stress. But now I'm going to start watching again. There's the thought. I got to get all this stuff done. Instead, I'm going to trust that whatever gets done is what needs to be done. There's this thought that someone's not going to like me. That's just an unworthiness thought. I'm going to stay in the moment, trust my guidance, and keep moving forward, right? I start talking to my thoughts again. I start being watchful again. And what's going to happen as I do that is the stress that I was feeling from not paying attention, or the fear, or the anger, grievance, hatred, it's going to start to dissipate when I start becoming watchful again. So be watchful with me, and it looks like there's a Be Watchful with Me Part 2, and if I remember correctly, there was actually a series of several messages. Yeah, then a Be Watchful with Me Part 3, and then a Part 4. So I guess that's what we'll be doing next week. We'll be looking at these messages that are actually longer and more detailed as a part of this Be Watchful with Me series.